Can you really handle the truth? If so, I challenge you to listen in today. Did you know that sexual exploitation and human trafficking is the fastest growing crime in the US? And did you know that most of the buyers and sellers are men? If these injustices happen in the shadows and largely because they are packaged as throwaways with low motivation for action, what can you and I do about it right now? Truth is, as a human, we all need to choose a battle that is bigger than our own. In today's episode, we'll discuss what is the size and scope of trafficking, what is a man's role in not only the problem but also the solution, what is authentic masculinity, and what can you do to help fight this injustice during the upcoming Christmas holiday season. Now, if you want to stop the self-sabotage, raise your standards, and participate with unshakable confidence, you'll want to take the Maximize Your Life quiz found at www.jameshepner.com/quiz right now. By taking this little quiz, you will discover exactly where you're making your life unnecessarily difficult and exactly where your behaviors are cutting you from the outcomes and goals you crave most. Your quiz results will pinpoint with precise accuracy the exact areas to focus on. This will immediately activate your ability to use your time and resources effectively and instantly set you on your path to create higher level gains with, you know what we want, less strain. Why not get down to the base and discover the truth about what's controlling your life right now? I challenge you. Take a few minutes. You owe it to yourself. You are worth it, and your experience of life depends on it. Give yourself the gift by honoring yourself and taking 5 minutes to invest in yourself. Take the Maximize Your Life quiz now at www.jameshepner.com/quiz and finally set yourself on the path that will lead you directly to what you want and need most now. Welcome to Weekly Wins and Losses. My name is James Hepner, former real estate entrepreneur turned self-development hacker, coach, and fulfillment strategist. Each week, we bring you a thought to wrestle with that'll help you live fully alive and gain more life. Real life is made up of both wins and losses. Both were designed for your good. That's basic reality. Without facing and learning how to embrace your losses for greater gain, you miss out. You leave 50% of your life experience on the table. So with that, let's begin the show. Leads in anti-trafficking. There you go. A trafficking agency called Saving Innocence, and it's based in Los Angeles. Alan, if you don't mind, help us listeners understand what had you focus on what you as a man could fight for. Because let's be honest, this isn't about shaming or blaming men. I know you're not about that. But I know your story, but help others understand what is your story and what captured you and just had you go, I'm in, I got to do this.
That's a great question. I've been with Saving Innocence a little under 7 years, going on 7 years. So my entire adult life was really in another direction. And I was with an organization, a nonprofit called Young Life, and reaching out to high school and middle school kids. And in that process, spoke many, many times to adolescent kids, and then started leading some seminars along with my female colleague that was specifically tailored to high school age girls and talking about their beauty and their value and their worth and how society lies to them, et cetera, et cetera. And then that turned into a seminar for dads, a workshop for dads who had daughters who needed to better understand what their daughters were going through and what media was saying to them and all those kinds of things. And then after 25 years on the Young Life staff, it was time for a change, and I wasn't sure what I was doing next. So I cold called Saving Innocence. I'd heard about them in the year before. They weren't hiring. There's no job position, but I wanted to hear more. As a dad with a daughter, I have a son too, son and a daughter, but as a dad with a daughter and someone who has been kind of advocating and fighting for kids really my whole life, I heard about child victims of sex trafficking. And like most people, my immediate thought was, well, what, that's in Thailand, right? Or Uganda or something. And I came to understand that it's all over the world, fastest growing crime in the world. And in our country, United States, it's the fastest growing crime in the United States. And it's no doubt throughout Canada as well. And So I went and heard the story, heard what was going on, and like I'm in. And it's everything got really focused in that moment and became very clear. Like all of the things that I have done and learned, the people I knew, it all came into focus for this moment right here, right now, was to jump into this much smaller organization at the time and bring some outside perspective they hadn't considered before, and bring in some new relationships and partnerships in order to advocate for and fight for these young ones. And to answer your question about the masculinity part, I learned very quickly the biggest part of the problem of trafficking, and specifically sex trafficking, is that of men. Most of the buyers are men, most of the sellers are men. And now, as a man, I'm leading an anti-trafficking agency, and I'm getting to know these younger survivors, and I'm hearing them speak, and I'm hearing their heart. And all of a sudden, okay, this is my lane. I'm going to lead the organization, but in my spare time, if you will, I'm going to be on podcasts like this, and I'm going to give interviews, and I'm going to speak to men as often as I can. And again, like you said, it's not man shaming or bashing, but it is eye opening and some challenging conversation from me, a man who knows things and has seen things they don't know and they haven't seen, and they need to. So that's a longer version, I suppose, of what you asked, but that's kind of the backstory.
Gosh, Alan, if we observe, and listeners, if you're tapping in via iTunes, I challenge you to go to YouTube and just pick up the back screen. Alan is standing in front of a whole bunch of posters, and there's movie posters. He's got Gladiator. He's got a Tom Cruise. He's got a whole bunch. So Alan, something tells me that when you say in my spare time, we don't know. You might be a movie producer. Oh, there's Rocky. There you go.
And don't forget the king, the goat, Braveheart.
Oh, sorry, Braveheart. Yeah, there you go. Right. And by the way, what's the Tom Cruise movie? What's that called again?
That poster right there is A Few Good Men.
Few Good Men.
You
Okay.
can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth. Oh my goodness. There's tears in that one, my friend. It's you can't handle the truth. It's like, yeah. The truth when I think of that. So let me just begin there. Gosh, I mean, I was aware of child sex trafficking, but never did I think that it's the fastest growing crime in the United States, because we don't hear this. Right. And I think to myself, wait a minute, we need a few good men. And by the way, nice coffee mug. You got it labeled Allen, so people don't steal it. That's nice. That's my man cup. Good job. Right. And so, what about how we have propped up, and I don't want to, yeah, I'll say it. What about how we have set up our society here in North America has us blinded? Mm-hmm. And again, I got to be careful, because it's not like Thailand maybe says to people like our primary problem is sex trafficking. Maybe every country shields from the blow of the reality. But what do you think if you've been in this for a while, like if at the undertow, beneath it all, what has us be so oblivious to that raw fact and that evidence?
Well, and before I answer that question, a little fun note on the movie posters. I literally quote all of those movies in the book, Men Fight for Me. In fact, the final chapter, the call to action is, you can't handle the truth. You have a greater responsibility than you could possibly fathom. I'm quoting Jack Nicholson from the movie, and quote Gladiator a number of times, and Braveheart. So that's the spirit of the book. It's a hard topic, but it's fun, guy to guy, like my male voice is quoting sports and movies and that kind of stuff to help everybody understand something. We can talk more about that in a little bit, I suppose. But why? So is the question, why is it so big, and why aren't we stopping it? Is that the idea?
Why is it that we in North America
aren't
seeing the undertow, aren't seeing the fact, the evidence that this is the fastest growing crime? Because all that I happen to know is when we know something is at the top, we tend to focus on it.
Right.
But we're not even seeing it at the top of the chart, so we're not focusing on it. So we're probably not doing all that we can about it.
It's 100% correct. And there's a number of layers to that answer. Number one, the crime exists in the shadows. Like, exactly how many bank robberies there were last year. It's a physical bank. There's an address. There's video footage. We know how many banks got robbed. This crime happens in the shadows, in the darkness, off the grid. And so it's hard to count and measure exactly with some hard data. That's part of it. The other part is that the victim, more often than not, is what society might phrase a throwaway person or a throwaway child. Oftentimes, they're kids from the inner cities. Oftentimes, they're already in the foster care system. Oftentimes they don't have anybody fighting for them or pursuing them. They're sort of lost in a dark, violent world. And so the motivation is low for the general person. Number one, they don't really know about it. And number two, it's not close to anything that they ever see or feel. If it happened to their own daughter, if the presidents and the prime ministers and the generals and all the people that had power, if it happened to their own daughter, I promise you it would be different, a different response from the lawmakers. And then the other part, you know, the dark, sinister part. I'm not a conspiracy guy per se, but I do know that the criminals, the buyers, the abusers of this crime are all throughout society and at up to the highest and high levels of local state government. I mean, if you saw the Netflix documentary on Epstein and his stupid island that he had, I mean, there's members of the royal family that visited there. There's former U.S. presidents that were there. There's rich and powerful people. There's judges and police and all those people, not to mention the regular guy next door. But the criminals include rich and powerful people. So somehow or other, rich and powerful people have a way to stay out of the news and keep things quiet. So all of those things combined all feed into the fact that it's an ugly crime that, and you know, the other thing is that just regular people that aren't either criminals or victims, if you really want to have an honest conversation about what's actually happening, it's really difficult to stomach. It's really hard to talk about. When you talk about an 8, 9, 10-year-old being raped a dozen times every single night, you know, one of our survivors, colleague of mine, worked for us at Saving Innocence for a bit. She went on and said, well, she's telling her story many times, that by the time she says I was 12 years old, I'd already been raped 4,000 times.
Holy smokes.
By 12. By 12 years old. She was brought into the life at 11. And in her words, I was raped 7 to 15 times every night by strange men. And she stayed in that life until she was 15, till she was able to escape. So 4,000 by the time of age 12, what's the number by the time she was 15? Like, if you really want to talk about it, you really want to have an honest conversation, it's absolutely repulsive and hideous and disgusting. And it will either motivate good people into action, which we're hoping this book will do. We don't go into all that detail in the book per se. It's readable. We do, you know, get you just right up to the edge, but not so much where you're going to set it down, hopefully. But it's either going to motivate you into action, or what happens a lot is people tune out. This is too, I can't do, this is too hard. I can't deal with it. And they just would rather not engage. So you add all that up together, and it's the fastest growing crime in the world. And it's a major epidemic all throughout major countries.
Gosh, you know, it's interesting. You and I, we've connected. This is the second time. But I know the first time you and I connected, I thought to myself, well, he's either my age or he's younger, they're older, but that doesn't make a difference. All that I know is that him and I have one commonality. We're different, but similar. And the cool thing is we get to connect over a difference and similarity. But one thing that I could detect in you is you go about a mile deep in all things that matter, deeply matter, and an inch deep on the rest. So you're kind of going, listen, if it happens to be something that stirs your discomfort, if anything, and I know you shared a story, and if at some point in time during this talk, if you wouldn't mind, when this one girl says, hey, men, would you just want to fight? I need somebody to fight for me. Would you like that? Right. Or, you know, it's somebody showed up like that in your life. But what's interesting is for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you pick up on that, there's something that you could kind of get yourself lost in, like you could just give your life to. It's something that's like, actually, it's so uncomfortable that I can't put it down. And again, there's two kinds of readers. There's many kinds of readers, many kinds of people. But like you say, some people, when they read something that's deep, they go, I got to have more. Yeah, it's going to change my life. Therefore, that's why I am reading. That's why I'm going to put time. That's why I'm dedicating effort into this. And the other kind of person is like, you know what? Perhaps it's just a little too real. Like, I don't want to see the evidence of real life. My life's kind of working out okay. Plus, I got my own stuff to worry about. So whatever's happening out there, then let that be. You know what I mean? And so I read you as the kind of dude. I just call you a dude, you know, or a movie producer for this moment. No, but you have this desire, in all honesty, to say, listen, discomfort doesn't have me run. It has me run. If anything, has me run towards it, not run away from.
Yes. Yes to all the above. Some people get drawn in, some people get pushed away. And for me, this is my lane. This is my calling. This is what I'm doing. And my entire life was set up to be doing this here right now, right here, right now. And The big difference, I get a lot of people ask me all the time, how do you do that? Like, how are you immersed in those stories and those things every day? I couldn't do that. And I appreciate that. Yes, sometimes it is pretty difficult to deal with what's going on and figure a way out of it. But see, now I've gotten to know some of these survivors, and they've become close to me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known their story, and they've confided in us. And now, in the best sense possible, I can't leave. Like, I'm going to leave, like, because something is a little maybe uncomfortable for me. And I'm going to go tell this friend of ours
Mm-hmm.
that was raped 4,000 times by the age of
Mm-hmm.
12 that, hey, this is a little uncomfortable for me. I don't know if I
Mm-hmm.
can do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, what do
so
you think this person went through 4,000 times? Discomfort?
exactly.
Slightly? Hello.
Yeah, right. So what we're dealing with in societies worldwide, and certainly in our country, and I suppose quite a bit in Canada as well, is a bunch of entitled, selfish people who want to build the kingdom of self. They want to be comfortable. They want to protect their kids and their family, maybe their neighborhood a little bit. But if it doesn't personally affect them, they may have empathy. Oh, that sounds terrible. Right. But they're not going to be moving to action because their priority is not out there. Their priority is inside. It's inside their home, inside their family. And they don't have enough bandwidth or heart or whatever it might be to get involved with something that doesn't directly affect them. And that's a sad reality for, I think, human nature.
That's a fascinating play, right? At the undertow of communication to me, I think sits listening. Communication is listening. If we're not listening well, we're not communicating. We don't, right? Sir Francis of Assisi said, if words are necessary, use them. Like, we got 2 ears, one mouth for a reason, right? And so when I think about this whole entitlement that you mentioned, I think we tend to listen when it serves us and our human
Absolutely.
needs.
Yep.
But here's the thing. Can we listen when it actually goes beyond just serving for our self-preservatory human needs? Can we listen deeper? And I'm going to ask you a question, but before I do, I'm going to cue this up because you said to me when you and I first talked, you said, as a man, we all need to fight for something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
So when you think about fighting for something bigger than yourself, to listen to something that is expanding the circle, not just the care you have for yourself, but to reckon, hey, listen, what's happening in my life? I'm good. I'm okay. Can I expand that? It seems like you've been about this work for a long time, like even before you landed where you are now. You've been this kind of human. How have you been this kind of human and been the kind of human that doesn't lose the focus on equality, that doesn't get dystopic towards men are the problem across the board? No, you're just owning it, and owning it doesn't threaten you. And oftentimes when you own it, it threatens someone because they can see the evidence of that in their life, because they're going, shit, in our company we have people like this, in society we have people like this. Crap, even in my life I'm going, yeah, I know somebody here down the block said there was a shooting, but it didn't really affect me, so I'm not really paying attention to, it's happening in Ukraine, so I have no responsibility there, right? So how have you, talk to us a bit there, how have you done this that has you actively engaged in that healthy masculinity and that the audience wants to hear you? How have you done this? What decisions have you made? What's happened in your life? I have not a clue. Go ahead. So the question is, how do we strengthen both our mind and body effectively? Maybe I should add, why is strengthening our mind and body even something that we might want to seriously consider implementing on a daily basis? It's all about maximizing your opportunities, maximizing your ability to experience a rich life instead of a mediocre life, maximizing your ability to bring to yourself and others around you what you were set on this earth to deliver and enjoy. What's not to love about stretching yourself and experiencing the truth about the incredible capacity that you actually have? Listen, I really value you, and I want to help you maximize your life by sharing a few of the specific strategies that have made all the difference in my life. I want you to feel mentally and physically strong so you'll be well prepared when you are most needed, so that your mind and body will be entrained to know exactly what to do when others are running for the exit signs, and so that you'll activate your ability to easily identify the opportunity no matter how challenging the situation. So, I've carefully put together a well-curated resource that will make it super easy for you. Simply go to www.jameshepner.com/self-help hacker, where you will be able to see some of my favorite books and specific biohacking modalities, supplements, and biohacking experiences that will allow you to feed your mind and body the specific and exact ingredients that will give you the mental and physical edge. Now, I should note, you'll see listed a grouping of biohacking experiences like whole body cryotherapy, bone density, etc., that you can experience at our biohacking lab located on the west coast of Canada in White Rock, BC. If you live nearby, feel free to book your session as you wish. Also, you'll want to take note of the specific discount code section that allows you to purchase products from my favorite vendors anywhere from 10 to 25% off by simply using the discount code JAMES. I hope you enjoy. To your life force, to your strength, here we go. In our company, we have people like this. In society, we have people like this. Crap, even in my life, I'm going, yeah, I know somebody here down the block said there was a shooting, but it didn't really affect me, so I'm not really paying attention to, it's happening in Ukraine, so I have no responsibility there, right? So how have you, talk to us a bit there, how have you done this that has you actively engaged in that healthy masculinity and that the audience wants to hear you? How have you done this? What decisions have you made? What's happened in your life? I have not a clue. Go ahead.
That's a great question. That might be a series of podcasts down the road. I'm not sure, but I think the short answer is, I suppose a lot of it is just who I am and who I was born to be, and the childhood that I had, the way I see the world. I don't know that I necessarily fostered and created a lot of what you're getting at. I think it's a lot of who I am. I think there's DNA that has me in a certain spot. And then you've already called out the movies behind me. The common denominator, and you left Rocky out, or maybe you didn't. The common denominator there are people fighting bigger battles than themselves. They're fighting for humanity. They're fighting for injustices. They're trying to right the wrong. And those are the things I've always resonated with, is fighting for those who can't fight for themselves, being a voice to the voiceless. And, some of that is how you're born and, what Enneagram number you are and all those things that people try to, sort of determine. And then I think really it's the act of getting close enough to these things. If you get close enough to what I'm doing, and that's a major part of the challenge for us, is to get an audience with people. If you can get an audience with people, whether it's one-on-one at lunch or whether it's in a boardroom or a restaurant or a ballroom, and if you can slow them down enough and turn off enough of the outside noise where they can actually listen to what's happening, engage, you have to do something. Your bare bones humanity requires that you do something. You have to turn your back on humanity. This issue that we're talking about is bigger than anything.
You have to. You have to turn your back on humanity, which means you have to turn your back on the very humanity that you came from. Before you could say a word as a child, you empathize. That was communication. You have to turn your back on empathizing. And that's what we all crave. That's how we all stay alive. That's what keeps us all connected. But go ahead. You have to stay humble. You can't just be like, I'm solving for my own self-preservation. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, if you can slow someone down long enough, most people want to do something. Tell me what to do. How can I help? Because at the end of the day, we're all members of the human race, and some people have gone so far down a twisted path and a dark path, and maybe they're actually an active participant in the problem. They're not going to respond. But most people are, in the end of the day, good people. I think they just haven't heard. They don't know. And I have to remind myself, there was a day when I didn't know and I hadn't heard. So I have a little bit of empathy for those people, but I'm going to bring them along. And then I'm going to unapologetically ask for their participation every single time when the time is right for that ask, because You can't tell someone something really difficult, really hard, an incredible injustice, and just leave it there. It's not fair for us and for
Hmm.
me to
Hmm.
leave it there without an opportunity for someone to get involved, be part of the solution. And that's what I get to do. I'm going to be at an event tomorrow night, about 50 people in a room at a restaurant, and we're going to be dressed up and we're telling the story. And Jessica, my co-author, is going to tell her personal story. And at the end, I'm going to get up. I'm going to unapologetically, not in a pressure way, not in a you're a bad person way, but in a come and join us. And
Hmm.
here's how you do it. We need you to be part of this team.
Hmm.
And most everybody will respond in some way. I'm sure they will.
Gosh, I got so much honor for you because there you are as a man saying, men, we need to stand up. We need to step up. We need to step up. We're the buyers, we're the sellers. You know what I love is how you claim your authority. You claim your space. You don't say, I'm going to only language forward and go for the ask if it hits the right people. What you're saying is actually this hits the undertow. So you bought into the narrative to the point. And what I love, and yeah, and I know I love many things. What I'm interested though is this. How is it that when you go for the ask, well, maybe not how. Yeah, how do you approach through the ask that has people not think you're making them feel ashamed or guilty? But what do you do? Because a thoughtful ask, in my opinion, doesn't involve any control at any measure, none. It's just bringing facts. So what do you do? Do you bring facts? What do you do so that as in though you're pulling on heartstrings, but it is not a manipulation because that's a very easy thing to do, right? Especially through a story like yours, I can only imagine like your story would be very ineffective. And I'm sure you're the kind of human I can hear in your language. We can all observe that you fight tempered and you become the sort of human that just has individuals want to see what you see. Meaning when you slow them down, they actually want. They go, okay, fine, fair. What do you see? Let me see it, right?
Well, the message is never a shaming, a pressure filled message. It's presenting a reality and acknowledging my place in humanity. And it's inviting people into a solution of something really terrible. And part of the checks and balances in my own head is uh, whatever I say, whenever I say it, it has to it has to resonate well with the survivors. Like we call them lived experience experts.
Mm.
They're oftentimes in the
Mm.
room. They're oftentimes in the room. There will be tomorrow night. Um, and my message, the way I say it, they can sniff out BS in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
They're very discerning people. They
Mm-hmm.
had to learn that, otherwise they wouldn't be alive right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if they feel like I'm re-exploiting them to raise money for somebody else, an organization, that wouldn't last. I would be out of this job. If I'm somehow manipulating people and inappropriately over dramatizing the survivor
Mm.
story for the benefit of raising money, they'll smell that out. And I I've told Jessica a number of times. She's a friend of our good friend now, but she's a survivor. 10 years. Read the book. You'll find out all about her. And I said, listen, if you ever hear me say anything, it comes out and it lands a certain way for you, and you feel like it didn't sound right, like I maybe missaid it. You need to promise me that you're going to tell me and
That's
correct
so
me.
good. Fighting for your responsibility, saying, I want to own where I'm not aware of what I'm doing. Please tell me because I want to know. I want to be of benefit. I don't want to waste my time. Hey, listen, just for the audience, do you mind giving us, so not on manipulation, this is just a bit of a teaser towards your book. So creating a little anticipation. Do you want to share just a little bit of the story, Jessica, and what happened when she was speaking? And I queued this up a little earlier. Just give a little inference. Don't need to give too much. Just play.
Well, Jessica didn't actually say it, but Jessica was on the panel with a woman named Rachel, and Rachel was telling her story and talking about her trauma and how she basically gave up and waved the white flag, if you will. And she said, I
Mm,
could no longer fight for myself. I needed someone to fight for me. And that lit me up.
wow.
That fired me up. And because we already talked about the problem is men, and I'm a man and I know things. And okay, I'll fight for you and you and you and you, and I'll fight for you. And I'll see how many good men I can get to fight with me on your behalf. And that's the title of the book. We added the word men because the target audience is the male audience. Although a lot of women
Mm,
are reading it and loving it, it's really educational and inspiring. But
mm,
there is a special focus to the male audience.
mm,
Come on, guys, you
mm,
know,
mhm,
we got to
mhm,
do better, and we need you
mhm.
in this fight. And so it's men fight for me. Is the that's where it came from.
You know, just on the topic of you're saying slowing people down just enough, and if we can get them there, and then typically they'll be like, okay, I'm hearing a signal. The noise is quieting down. I'm hearing a signal. course, I have questions that relate to, and perhaps we won't get behind this today, but I mean, gosh, how you go about funding and raising, capital. I think that would be a fascinating conversation because especially if inside of large structured organizations lie the very people, oftentimes, not all of them, but the reason that this is a hush hush thing is, like you said, Epstein. I mean, we see it everywhere, right? Um, Something that you said to me when you and I chatted originally, and I love this quote, um, a Bonhoeffer quote. You said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the thing or things that matter." Talk to me
If
when.
I said, I'm sorry, if I said Bonhoeffer, I think that's a Martin Luther King quote,
Oh,
but
okay,
I
there you go.
probably said
Thank
a
you.
Bonhoeffer too.
Yeah, okay. So you're obviously a Bonhoeffer fan. Thanks.
I got them both in there. Yeah. Anyway,
Nice.
go ahead. Sorry,
Okay,
sorry
okay,
to
awesome.
interrupt.
So that quote, I'll read it a little faster here. Our lives begin to end the day we begin or we become silent about the things that matter. When you
Yeah.
think about that, now you're in this, so just put yourself, and I'm sure you can feel it. You've experienced it many times. You're in a room and you're with different people, different degrees of achiever individuals, and you're slowing the whole narrative down, you're slowing them down, and all of a sudden you go like shoulder to shoulder with a gentleman after the talk, perhaps. And perhaps this person needs a bit more slowing down, and you're just chatting with him. And all of a sudden, here's the thing, you have this feeling that each man wants to live. The man doesn't want life to end. So you go for it and you bring forward something that has him wake up that this really matters. What do you say? What do you do? You finally got to that moment and you're right there. And he's like, you can see he's contemplating something and you just go. What is it?
Oh my goodness, there's so many nuances, and depending what with the conversation, I don't have one answer for that. But
No, I can imagine, but yeah, go
we're
ahead.
we're bouncing around in this last 20 minutes. You know, the kinds of things I'd be saying, and you've reminded me of a great quote. Our lives begin to end. What I love about that is the imagery. Our lives don't end right that. It's not like you jumped off a bridge. Our
Right,
lives begin to end.
right.
There's a subtle
Slow death.
erosion.
Mm-hmm,
There's an erosion
mm-hmm,
of self, an erosion of your soul, an erosion of your heart, an erosion of your very essence of humanity begins. It begins to end. And I don't know how long that process takes, but we're slowly dying out here.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
We're slowly
mm-hmm,
dying if we
mm-hmm,
don't take a stand and do something that
mm-hmm.
matters with your life.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say something along those lines. And I'll probably say something like that tomorrow night. You know, there's a
and
slow erosion.
and so here's the thing that I love what you're doing. You're combining something really heavy with lightness. You're not laughing at it saying it's jokeable, it's laughable. What you're saying is there's such deep trauma, there's such deep pain. I'm choosing to process this in a way that I can go on, but let's get with the real. I love it. It's so beautiful.
And that's personality. That's who I am. We're gonna have a good time when I'm speaking. Whenever I speak, there's gonna be we're gonna make light of some things strategically to lighten the mood a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna shy away from the hard stuff. We're gonna talk about the hard stuff, but also I'm gonna be human in the middle of it, and we're gonna look at it together.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So I prepared a whole bunch of questions and I'm going to see if I can find them here because these were important to me and I know these are important to you too. So I'm just going to find and locate them and we're going to go straight at it if you don't mind. So there's just a few here that I prepared on and I did a little thinking prior to. So there's some that you language specifically that you focus on, but here's the deal. When I think about trafficking, and I say it's typically man's responsibility. Throw down some facts and figures. Just throw down some stats. Like, how do we know it's men?
Oh, well, I mean, at Saving Innocence, we keep a database of all of our clients, and we have all the information on every one of our clients. There's a couple thousand of them in our database anyway, and 95% of those buyers and traffickers are men, are the male
Mm,
audience.
mhm,
So we just
mhm,
know that from our sample
mhm,
size. We know that lines up with all the other organizations out there
mm,
doing things as well.
mm,
But
mhm,
it's from the mouths of the actual victims.
mm, mhm,
They're telling us who the buyers are.
mm, 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 mm. Mm. And is there a percentage? Like, is it 60%? Is it what is it? Do
Oh,
you
it's
know what
about
that is?
95% men.
Sorry, I missed that. 95. So listeners, there you go. 95% men. So whether you find this message disturbing, I don't know if we really care what you find it as. It's just fact.
Right.
And so, what do you do with fact? You kind of look at it and you could wish that it would be different, which brings me to the next thing. If you wish it to be different, we're playing a fantasy. Think about Enron. Well, the numbers apparently are worse than that we are because we are Harvard grads and Stanford. We're all these people, and so we're gonna fudge the numbers. As soon as you do a little bit of fantasy play, just a little bit, as soon as we leave reality, we get into the deep weeds of stuff. When I think about wins and losses, so our platform here is oftentimes, what do most people want? They want to win. You tell us how as a society we're creating losses and we're creating deep hurt. You can see people, it seems to me that unless we learn how to deal with the wins and losses of our life equally and let it just be news, let facts be facts. Like, why do we like to change the facts? Like, some people might say, well, yeah, Alan, that's 95% based on your experience. But I went to the Google and the Google says, you know what I mean? Right. And so here's the thing. Why can't a fact just be a fact? Why can't we just, and I like the way you laid it down. You're saying these are facts in our organization. You're not saying you're saying what we've experienced, real mouths, real people, real hands, real feet. Here are the facts. So it's real. And so listeners, just feel that discomfort when you go like, there's no way of getting away from it. And you're just like, everywhere you look, it's right there. Oftentimes what we want to do is we're like, but couldn't we think it might be a little different? So again, that's the fantasy play. But if we turn our face towards it and we're like, actually, this is the reality. I want to ask you, Alan, based on your version of healthy masculinity, and I don't want to say it's rhetorical. You might choose to think different. What I don't know how you're gonna answer this, but what is a man like an authentic man? An authentic man. What does he play in? Does he play in like crystal ball gazing and like fantasizing and see what, or does he just embrace what's there and participate with it? And again, I don't want to prime you towards, but if you would say in your language, what is authentic masculinity?
It's almost like I teed that up for you, which I did not. Authentic masculinity in chapter 4 of the book Men Fight for Me is the whole chapter. It's called Man to Man. And I retell experiences I had with my 5-year-old son when he was 5 and a couple of buddies and their kids. And the dads got around and said, okay, we got these young boys that are going to be young men one day. What's job number one? We thought, okay, we have to define a man. What does it mean to be a real man, an authentic man? Because there's no agreed upon answer. Is it an age, 18, 21? Is it you got married, you had sex? What does it mean to be a man? So we're going to give our kids a gift of clarity. We came up with 4 pillars of
Well,
authentic
nice.
masculinity.
Yeah, go.
Here's our working definition, and you out there in the audience, you can take them and use them. You can sub one out and add another one, whatever. The important thing is that give a thoughtful definition of what it means to be a man for your young boys, so they know here's where the target, here's what we're shooting for. So number 1, he accepts responsibility. An authentic man accepts responsibility, not only those responsibilities that are squarely on him for sure, but he steps into something bigger, like we talked about before. Maybe there's a bigger battle out there, but take a little responsibility for your neighborhood, for your school, the city, the state, the world. Step into something bigger. That's what a real man does.
Mm.
Number 2, he leads courageously.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to
Mm-hmm.
need courageous leaders. This world is jacked up all around the world. And I saw a little meme at some point. I don't know if it's a real study or not. It made me laugh and simultaneously want to make me cry. But it said
Mm-hmm.
80% of all problems are
Mm-hmm.
caused by men. And I
Mm-hmm.
listened, I thought, well, it might be a little low, actually. I mean, can you think of like a legitimate
Well,
problem?
and
Oh,
actually, to me, it's like I'm going to kind of chime in with a bit of laughter because, to a large degree, men are often trying to achieve. We're all achieving, but men. So why not create a problem so we can achieve solving our own problem? So it makes
there you
sense.
go.
So
Okay.
I think 80% like you is a little low. I think more like
Yeah.
99. If
Yeah.
if I look at my own life, this is what I would observe.
So he leads courageously, and we're going to need men to step up because the biggest part of this problem is men. We're going to need men to confront other men. That's going to take courage, and a lot of those men are your friends. That's going to take courage. And then number 3 is he lives a life of service. A real man gives; he doesn't take. I quote a bunch of men, good, strong men, at the end of the book, and they're giving their definition of masculinity. And this one guy says, as soon as a man takes, he loses all credibility. So we need generations of men, young men, as they grow older, to serve their neighborhood, serve their community, serve their school, serve the world. He's not taking what he can get, he's giving what he can give. And then the last one, the 4th pillar, is it says he's more concerned with who he is more important than what he does. Who he is more important than what he does. The idea of focusing on the internal, like get whatever job you want to do, go be an athlete, go be an entertainer, go work in business, go work at a restaurant. We don't care. That's fine. Go do that. But what's important is who you are, your integrity, your character, your honesty, your follow through. So we're going to focus with our young men on those things and let the outward take care of itself. So if we can get enough men accepting responsibility, leading courageously, serving graciously, and focusing on their inward, not the outward, that's a world I want to live in. And there's no room for exploitation and trafficking in that world because your buddies wouldn't let you go do it. There's no room for world domination by a rogue leader because the men around him wouldn't let that guy go off the rails and do it. And spoiler alert, man, it all starts with you looking in the mirror. It starts at home. Have a big vision, take small steps. And that first step, which is small because you don't have to go anywhere, but it's big because it may be hard to do. My challenge to men is that we take a good, hard, honest look at our life, and we put that and we get that in sync with a non-exploitive culture, the kind of culture you want your daughters to grow up in. So we may need to walk away from some things. We may need to have an honest conversation about what we're doing on our computer late at night, where we're going on a Friday night with the guys, what the kinds of things that we're bringing into the home. We may have to have an honest conversation because if we're going to have any integrity and strength and power to change the world, it has to start in our own home and our own heart. And that's going to be step number one.
Well, and you know what? Integrity, and you brought up so many things. Integrity, in my opinion, and I'm masculine, and I primarily show up in the masculine. We all have masculine and feminine parts within us. And, it sounds to me, if I think about for me, when I show up and what you're talking about, we're all hungry towards something. We all want to achieve. Achieve what? Achieve so we can just have some exterior gain, or that we can actually feel like we're living a life of purpose. They say that the masculine lives mostly on the external and the feminine lives mostly on the internal. You look at society, you look at how it's structured. The man brings home the potatoes, the woman carves it up and designs something, creates them. She's the creator, and the man brings it home. So when you talk about men at service, give and doesn't take, it's interesting because oftentimes unhealthy masculinity, this is my opinion, has to do with a man saying, I am just going to be masculine and not develop the inner world. When you develop the inner world, it's like the masculine finds it an honor that he can serve the inner world, which is the feminine world. When he serves the inner world, it's like worthy to serve. I think about a man who, even if you think intimacy, enter the bedroom. And I don't want to go too deep on this one, but let's say it like this. Which man considers it pleasurable and deeply respectful to attend to his needs before he looks after his bride? Or, not happening. The man considers an honor that he gets to serve the feminine. And it isn't like masculine versus feminine. It's not that. I'm not talking about man versus female. What we're talking about is this energy and this place and this accountability place, and going, listen, where does everything come from? It all comes from my inner world. It all comes, and it's like this. And I love your, and so just stress testing like what you described here. One thing that I love the most is, guess what? If you fall off the rail, someone's going to catch you. Someone's going to spot you. Someone's going to call you out. It's like, no. We don't do that here. Not now, not ever. And now we're watching you until you straighten your life out. And I love that. A real conversation, not just about what we're currently doing, but the humor we have around joking around, even like playing with thoughts, whatever that ends up being. We gotta get good, and we gotta get right. We gotta get, and I have to be careful not saying pure about things. If I look at those movies behind you, those guys in the movie, there's something with the purity culture we have to be very careful of, because purity culture often says you must be pure, and then of course the human one wants to resist the purity. And what I love, what your focus is men, we all love an active fight that's beneficial, that's going to serve, that pokes at the structure, not as to take the structure down, but let's make it better. Why don't we, show up for this? So I love that about your work. I love it about your work. What would you say you've learned about your work that you never thought you'd stumble into? Like never, ever.
Oh, I never. Well, I didn't even know I accepted a position for this agency in a field I didn't even know existed a month before. So all of it was never expected. And probably the biggest one is Jessica, who we referred to, and these other survivors, the the lady that said I needed someone to fight for me has now become a friend, and she's a big part of the book. Like all these amazing survivors, I've gotten to know many of them. I've gotten to know their stories, and I would have never thought, it's not my world naturally didn't coincide in the world that they are coming from. And it's been an honor and a privilege to step in with humility and try to learn something, learn a thing or two. And now many of them become great friends, and they'll be friends with me and my family kind of forever. And so that was unexpected.
That's super interesting. Well, so you came to serve and then you received. And so they often say the feminine is the receiver. So not a taker, but a receiver, right? And so you came and you just came to give, and now humbly you get to receive. And it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
For the listeners, I have two final questions, perhaps three. We'll see how much time we got. We're running out of time here, but I'll say this. How could we, average, ordinary humans, citizens, whatever that looks like, wherever we are, how could we tap into little clues without hypervigilance and without anxiety, not looking for everyone's being abused apparently tomorrow, but how could we spot something going on that probably needs to be investigated? Like little signs, like nuance.
Yeah. I think step number one, before you get to that, is just take it upon yourself to get a little more educated, so you know it when you see it. You don't know it. You can't see it if you don't know it exists. So I humbly submit the book as a great tool for that. Go to our website, fightforme.net. There's other resources linked there. Rachel, the woman who said, I need someone to fight for me, there's a link to her website, and she created a phenomenal tool called the Cool Aunt Series. You go to coolauntseries.com. It's about an 8-video segment that you go through it with your teens. And every teenager should go through this with a parent nearby to kind of interpret it. And she breaks down beautifully all the warning signs and the risk factors and all those kinds of things in a language that your kids can understand and all that. So usually it's going to be something that doesn't look right. It's not necessarily, you haven't read in a book necessarily, but why is a young girl with an older man that doesn't appear to be her dad? What's going on there? That doesn't seem right. Why is she dressed in a somewhat provocative way that doesn't seem to match her age? That doesn't seem to make sense. Why does she look physically maybe bruised, like beaten, like she's undergone some beatings, or malnutritioned? That's not normal for a 13-year-old to have those bruises. And then when they start showing up with tattoos, a kind of tattoo, not a pretty butterfly on a wrist that you might think of somebody might get, but something else that looks different. And oftentimes it's in like on the neck or even on the face. And why does it look like it says a guy's name? And why is there a dollar sign on that tattoo? A lot of times what these pimps will do, they'll tattoo, they'll brand, they're going to be branding the property that they own. They're asserting ownership over these young, vulnerable ones. And they're going to tattoo like their call sign, their nickname on it, so everybody knows who she belongs to. So you start seeing those kinds of things. This is not good, and you got to call the police. You got to call the authorities. And
holy smokes, are those people ever, like, when you talk courageous, like they're pretty daring. Like the fact they do this, they're actually self-admitting like this is what, but they obviously, like, what this shows all of us is it shows they know they can get away with it to a large degree.
A blatant disregard for authority, for respect, they're just brazenly, because they know what we know. It's the fastest growing crime in the world, and the judicial system is lagging behind, and law enforcement typically is lagging behind, and there aren't enough boots on the ground to catch them anyway. And even the trafficker, he's not out there. He puts the girl out there. So it's hard to catch him no matter what. You don't see it.
And you can't handle the truth, apparently. So they know that.
Right. There you go.
They know. Oh,
we don't have enough courageous leaders out there looking for them and going after it and voting for the right laws and voting for the right people who are going to go after them and funding the right things. We have a bunch of weak, pathetic men who are looking the other way. And my urgent message to men, we can't hang up until I say this, James, is that all of us are part of this problem. We are either actively down that dark path of buying someone for sex. That's a smaller group. The much bigger group is we are passively just allowing it to happen. We're looking the other way. And that makes us as guilty as the person who's doing it, because we saw something terrible. We know that it's happening once you get a little bit of knowledge, and we continue to look the other way and allow it to happen. Well, then we are complicit in the crime that we don't do anything to stop.
So this is what I'm going to say the next time I'm at a mixer. And, I asked you the question, what do you say when we slow it down? This is what I'm going to say the next time I'm at an event. I'm going to say this. How do we feel that we're passively letting it happen? And I'll see what happens. Because here's the thing. I don't know about you, but I think there's a beautiful gift in guilt. Not shame, but guilt. Because guilt allows you to see it's reality. Like we don't need to, this is no shame. This is just the reality. The facts are this. We're guilty. It doesn't help us to say we're not. We are. Listen, Enron, the numbers weren't good. It doesn't help them anything to say that the numbers aren't good. We're better than. No, it doesn't help. Forget this. So how does it feel that we're passively? So it's not like we're debating, are we being passive? No, 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 no. Why don't we hear that this is the number one crime in the United States? We are that.
Well, it's just a simple, yeah, like you said, it's kind of a simple fact. You're allowing this to happen. I'm not allowing it to happen. Was it happening? Well, yes. Well, then you're allowing it to happen. Like it's not a debate. It's not an opinion.
No.
If it's happening, then you are allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
If we can shake enough men, grab them by the collar, and say, "Listen, no more. Not on our watch. We cannot let this happen. We can't have to. I don't want to have one more girl say she's been raped 4,000 times by the time she's age 12. That's that in no society, in no form of humanity is that acceptable. And we are allowing it to happen. No, I'm not. Is it happening? Yes. So then you're allowing it to happen. We need everybody. As Colonel Nathan Jessup from A Few Good Men says, pick up a weapon and stand a post.
Activate the fight in the man. Because you know what? Every man has, and I like what you said earlier, and I botched that quote that you gave me, but every man likes to fight for something bigger than himself.
I think so.
And so at the end of the day, it's like we want to know his purpose beyond just us. Because honestly, if I look at just a little example, so I'm married to the same woman for 22 years, been with her for 27, but I'll say this. The woman's brain's connected, the man's brain apparently is not. So I like to, when I buy her gifts, I think, oh, what would she like? This pair. And so I've already kind of dived into, like, I'll even buy her clothes sometimes, which is a risky business thing for a man because you never know the sizing. But anyway, I've actually done this for so long, and I buy gifts and I go and try. So the man tries, but the man often realizes if he's going out to try, and if he's going to feel good or bad if it doesn't work out, listen, he's just trying. So honestly, Ellen, and now it's turning the tide a bit, but for the longest time, what I would buy, I give her, I keep all the receipts. And here's why. They know me at the store. I return things because she doesn't like it, doesn't work, whatever. And so here's the thing. A man just goes, listen, I'm going to try. I'm going to fight for, I got to do something. Listen, I don't got all the answers, but I got to apply myself. I got to take my energy and I got to participate. I've got to say, listen, where is there a cause that's bigger than just serving for my own gain or for my own need? Where can I put my hands to work and actually go to bat? Like you say, like, listen, if you can't stand up for yourself, perhaps you want to stand up for other people, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little ahead of you. I've been married a little longer than you. And so with that comes wisdom. I gave up trying to buy my wife clothes a long time ago.
But, hey, are you saying I'm not wise? Hey, I'm okay. I'm not that wise. I'm still trying. There you go. And you know what? Sometimes it works. The only thing is, to a little disclaimer, it works. She uses it twice and also I don't see it anymore. So I'm wondering if it works. She just doesn't.
Yeah. Right. Well, God bless you. Keep going at it. I quit banging my head against the wall a long time ago. But when people ask, what can I do? I don't want to answer too quickly. I want to say, I don't know, what can you do? What can you do? Who are you? What do you know? What do you do? What's your company? Where'd you go to school? How about your friends? Do you have any money? No money? Okay. Do you want to volunteer? Do you know graphic design? What can you do? Now you don't have to get a little educated, read our book, go to the website, look at some stuff, but do the thing that you already do. Like you have a podcast, so you can have me on your podcast. That's what you can do. And you can bring someone else on next month that has a different perspective but the same topic. That's what you can do. So take what you're already doing, the skills and experiences you've already accumulated, and now focus them on part of the solution. You yourself aren't going to solve this whole mess. It's going to take a lot of us, but you yourself can do something. Do that. Do something. Get off the couch. Get in the game. Do something. Anything. Start somewhere. Don't wait.
Well, and they say if you're not angry to some degree, even if you take a figure like Jesus, and I'm an amateur on these things, but Jesus, if you're not angry, you don't activate purpose, my friend. So angry meaning let it serve you. Let that emotion of anger serve you towards taking next proper action. Do something about it. Do something about it. And honestly, how can a human respect itself, herself, himself, if the very thing that he's in or she's invited to is to take action? Not acting it literally takes your self-respect, takes your confidence, and just shreds it. You got to walk up to the line of threshold, the area that makes you uncomfortable, and then courageously act. That's what fuels the soul. And that's what makes you feel worthy. That's what makes you feel so. There's all this talk about not feeling worthy and all. So we don't need to go into all these areas. But honestly, Alan, you've been such a gift, and I love what you do. And brother, I don't know how old you are. I didn't want to say you're 80, but if you are 80, you surprised me.
Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Are you thinking I'm anywhere near 80?
Well, the reason that I poked you is because you're saying, no, I don't think you are. But the reason I poked you is because you're saying, hey, I'm wise, you're not. I'm going, I'm going to nicely settle the score. I'm going to say you're 80, where you're probably 52. I don't know how old you are. That's beside the point. I'm 46. So there you go.
Well, I'm 59. I've been married 38 years. And
39 times? No, sorry.
Yeah. You're coming hard at me. I didn't say you weren't wise in general.
I'm just joking. I'm just playing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Before we sign off, and I don't know how soon we're signing off, but I do want to make sure that your audience knows that proceeds from the book are benefiting survivors of trafficking. So I can completely unapologetically, with great humility, say every man out there or woman, buy a case of these books. Go to fightforme.net. You can get them off of Amazon if you want. But just add one more step. Go to that little website, fightforme.net. There's links to buy the book there, both Kindle and paperback. We're actually recording an audio version of it too. It'll be out in a little while. But buy one for every guy you know, and then sit down and read it. Get a couple of buddies together and read it. And whatever pennies are made from the book is going to go benefit the survivors of trafficking. And together we can link arms and we can do something important here.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for being on the show. Again, last call, whatever you want. Perhaps we're not having alcohol today, but last call for responsibility. And I'm all about this. Anything else you want to share? Anything that comes to heart for you that you want to just drop in?
Well, I mean, it's a summary of what we've just said. Guys, specifically, there's a lot of great women that are out there involved. Great. Keep doing that. But the missing ingredient to the beautiful cake that we're trying to bake, the solution is a bunch of good, strong men that are willing to learn something and then do something. Awareness for the sake of awareness isn't really all that helpful if there's no action. So I'm calling all men to get off the couch, get in the game, because not very far from you, wherever you're listening right now, you could probably draw a few mile diameter. There's a child going to be abused and violated tonight, multiple times. This is not some isolated problem in some distant far off land. This is in your state, your city, your country. It's happening tonight. So think about guys, when you're tucking in your kids into bed tonight, there are other kids the same age that are getting dressed up in a certain way and they're going out to be put for sale. And they're in no way, shape, or form is that anywhere close to being okay. And it's only going to stop if we get enough strong men recognizing it and getting involved. And you can email me. If you go to fightforme.net, there's a tab, connect. You can email me directly from the website. If you want to ask a question or two, there's videos that you can watch. I can point in some directions. This is what I'm here to do. I'm here to mobilize men to get after this big, ugly problem.
I absolutely loved it. As a disturbing message, and I loved it because it sufficiently did its job. So thank you so much. You nailed it. Men, women, whoever you are, there's an invitation. You want to get strong. He's saying this is how you get strong. You face it. You face the facts. You put your nose into it. You read. Buy a case of books. Do what you need to do. Like you said, get with your buddies. Read some stuff. See what you got. Thanks, Sal.
All right. Take care.
Take care. With inflation rates rising, interest rates shooting up, gas prices skyrocketing, and the continued global unrest, it's easy to find what's wrong in the world. Tony Robbins says, what's wrong in the world is always available, but so is what's right. Instead of trying to hope and wish the world into a better place, it's time to make the most important decision any of us can ever make, and that is to invest in yourself. Now, you already know that I've always stood with you as you've navigated the uncertainties of life's reality. However, it's now high time that I step up and take decisive action to walk alongside your current life journey by making myself available to you in a radically new way during these challenging times. For a limited time, I'm inviting you to a 45-minute strategic business life consultation at no charge and no strings attached. This consultation is where you'll regain the reins of your life. It's where you'll gain clarity on exactly why you're stuck, moving you directly towards your optimal outcomes. I'm humbled to say, however, my clients' generous reflection of their time spent with me reveals the truth. The skills they've been able to master in a short period of time by engaging in our one-on-one strategic sessions have changed their lives in so many ways. This is the only invitation that I can fathom that will put my skin in the game of your life in such a way that will allow us to address your specific needs with precision and excellence. 45 minutes, just you and I, together on a call to get you headed in the direction you crave most. Here's what my clients report after our one-on-one sessions. A decrease in indecision, an increase in clarity, confidence, and courage, an increase in fully being able to capitalize on what's directly in front of them, an increase in impact at work, on their families, and on their communities, a decrease in pain and suffering, and a decrease in anxiety. So, if you want to move beyond old stories, get clear on where you're headed so that you can shake your world, then here's a rich opportunity for you today. Simply go to www.jameshepner.com and stay on the page for about 45 seconds or so, and you'll see a little pop-up appear that will allow you to book in your business life consultation with me. This offer will expire and fill up. Maximizing this opportunity will set you up to reclaim and regain any of your inner power that has slowly been drawn down over these challenging times. And remember, if you want to stop the self-sabotage, raise your standards, and participate with unshakable confidence, you'll want to take the Maximize Your Life quiz found at www.jameshepner.com/quiz right now. My sincere hope is that you've gleaned a few nuggets for yourself and a few pieces of interest that help you move forward in your unique journey. So again, I thank you for joining me here. This is James Hepner clocking out. Until next time, peace out, rock up.